Welcome to Rivalry on the Mic, where two friends, two fan bases, and way too many hot takes collide. I'm Trey Hardiman, a die-hard Ohio State fan, and sitting across from me, unfortunately, is my co-host and friend and a proud Oregon Ducks fan, Theo Dudek. Every single week, though, we're going to break down the biggest moments in sports, debate the hottest takes, and maybe, just maybe, agree on something, but do not count on it.
From heated game breakdowns to real-life stories beyond the scoreboard, it's friendship, it's competition, and don't worry, it's going to involve a whole lot of trash talk.
So grab your jersey, grab your coffee, grab whatever you need to grab, and buckle up because on this mic, the rivalry never rests. Welcome to another episode of Rivalry on the Mic. We are super excited to be here again. Theo is sporting his St. Louis Cardinals, repping the Liberty Panthers, the middle school team I coach at. Super excited to be here again. Theo, how you doing, man?
Doing good. You know, I honestly am ready to go golfing. My goodness, today was tough.
Okay.
It was nice outside. There's a slight breeze. I opened the room in my classroom, the doors in my classroom, had the windows cracked.
You had the windows cracked?
Oh, man, it was tough. It was tough, but...
No, man, I today was like the second day this week that I've been able to run outside, and it's just like, it's so nice when it's just not cold all of the time.
Courtney and I walked for 45 minutes yesterday at the park in O'Fallon. It was so much needed. So good.
Outside of allergies, it literally is the best time of the year, man. Like it literally is so much fun. But other than that, you're doing good?
Doing good.
All right, man.
Great.
Well, hey, we have our first segment of our episode today. We're going to be doing another draft day, and our producer, Jeremy's going to let us know what we're going to do, but also wanted to let you know that we are going to talk about the second half of the NBA season. I will also be doing a overview of what I saw yesterday in the NBA, the Lakers versus the Mavs. It was a lot of fun. And then finally, we'll do our hot take of the week. Both I and Theo will decide a hot take, and we'll let Jeremy, who is our producer on the mic over there, help us decide whose hot take is hotter. So, all right, Jeremy, tell us what we are talking about for our draft day this afternoon.
Yeah, what a cool segment, you know. It's fun to banter back and forth. So, today you're drafting your top 5 sports moments.
Top 5 sports
moments, man.
Okay, do you have a coin today? Because I totally forgot one.
I do not.
Okay, so Jeremy, do you have your phone?
We can flip this SD card right here.
Okay, all right. I'll let you pick, Theo. You that's right side up.
Okay.
Heads, tails. Okay. Call it in the air, Theo.
Tails.
It is heads.
I'm definitely taking first pick. Okay. All right.
I would too. Are we doing like winners, like?
I think it's moments. I think everything's on the table here. Top five sports moments.
Unbelievable.
And remember, if I pick it, you can't pick it. Okay. So my very first moment is, I don't know if it's the greatest moment of all time, but I do feel for me it was like I felt like I'm officially watching basketball like as a fan. And it is Ray Allen, corner 3, San Antonio Spurs, game 6. Like that moment,
greatest Mike Green call of all time.
Yeah, that moment for me is caveat. We have to have seen the moment. Okay. We can't like I have a Jordan picture on my wall over there. We can't choose that moment because we didn't get to watch that because we're not that old.
Fair.
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game.
no one's seen that.
It's fake anyway. It's fake.
No one's seen that.
But for me, Ray Allen in the corner 3 off the Bosch rebound. Next level, that's my number one moment.
I feel like I can hear that.
Bang!
Like I can hear rebound Bosch. Kick out down.
Bang!
Okay.
San Antonio timeout.
I feel like we are going in way opposite directions here.
Okay, I'm for it though.
So this is craziest. I got DeMar Hamlin dying on the field for my craziest moment. Watching that. Oh.
That was a wild. Theo chose a death scene.
I got 2 or 3 in my head that are just straight injuries.
No, I mean, that definitely was a wild sports moment for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I'm talking about
well, especially now because now he's playing in the league. Like he's good now. Well, he wins comeback player of the year. Like he wins all that different stuff.
No,
You were watching that game live?
Okay, so oddly enough, got back from basketball practice and I had ate dinner and I was in the shower and I had it sitting up against the wall. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh, he's out. And I was like, oh. And then everyone, and then like 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, he's dead.
Well, and like people are crying.
Yeah,
like
and
it's like, oh my goodness.
And then
the reports.
and then the worst part was though, like he's on the ground and Buck is like, we'll come back. And then the first thing you hear is, Whopper juice. And I'm just like, this is the ad that played. And it played like 3 times.
Well, I just remember the commentary afterwards. They like talked for like an hour after the game. And I was like, guys, just relax. Just end the segment. Just go home. The game's over. They canceled the game. Stop trying to talk about
just
this
put
situation.
Something else on.
Yep.
I know that's
put an episode of Friends on, put an episode of The Office.
Like I know you got a shift, but you got to have something in the back just in case. Be like, hey, throwback game from '86.
Yeah,
we'll put that on. And
I like insane. That. I like that pick. So I have Ray Allen 3. Okay. The DeMar Hamlin. I mean, that is like a crazy sports moment.
But that is like something I've never seen before, and it may be something you never see again. Is someone like physically on the ground, like
absolutely. So my second moment, I think, is also, it's definitely a moment that I will never forget. Tiger Woods winning the Masters after the long, so in 2019.
Yes.
That moment when he raises his hand and goes and hugs Charlie Woods, that is a moment that I'll never forget right there. Yeah, that's my number 2 moment.
The return to glory.
The return to glory, baby. Tiger Woods' return to glory is my number 2 pick. Yeah. So, what do you got? Ooh. What's your second round pick?
So, one events that
is someone dying?
No, not yet. The block by LeBron.
Ooh, block by James
on Iggy. That was like because I liked the Warriors, so they were fun to watch, and that was just one of the best blocks I've ever seen. And like the way like he still describes it to this day and is able to break down like JR just getting a half.
Yes, he just needed
a split second. That's
he
what
needed
he
a hesitation.
Always told his guys, let's just give me a split second and I will be there. I promise you.
Yeah.
And that's all JR did. He calls that split second.
Yep.
And then after
and Iggy, when he talks about it, you hear him say, he thought he made it. Like he didn't know why everybody was losing their minds. Like he thought that in the moment that he made the layup, which is insane.
And it's just, and same thing, Mike Breen. Oh, block by Trey.
Yeah, I know. It's
we should have just done a Mike Breen list.
Yeah,
just him commentating.
Okay. So I think that's a really, really good pick, and I remember that. I remember that moment very clearly. My next moment. This is a hard one for me. I feel like I watch so much football. I watch so much, basketball, so specific. But I watch a lot of college sports. I'm trying to think college range. But I'm going to a moment where the game feels won by I believe it's North Carolina. North Carolina comes down. I don't remember the player who hits the shot for North Carolina, but I do remember for Villanova,
Marcus Page
hits Marcus Page
off balance,
one of the craziest shots in the center of the court. This is for the national championship, correct?
Ties it
to tie the game.
Ties it with a couple seconds left,
and then the game winner by
Jenkins.
Yes, by
I
Jenkins.
don't know his first name, because I always Jenkins for the
for the championship. That game was electric. I am not a Tar Heel fan, so it was nice to see them, lose. But then also I feel like that was like Villanova's. Was that their first title like ever? I don't. Yeah, I think I feel like that. I remember being that a part of the story.
I don't know if it's ever, but it may have been like in a long time.
Well, I think it was that. I think it was that coach's, which I can't remember that coach's name right off the top of my head right now. But I just remember, that game was just so electric, going down to the wire. Marcus Page, he makes the tie, and then that's the thing they always say when it comes to like basketball, especially if it's tied, it's a way more free shot than you're down by one. Yeah. And so he just comes down free. They kind of do the scoop pass to him, center of the court, behind the 3-point line, absolute bucket.
Yeah, I'll never forget they let Archie Diacomo cross back middle, and I thought He was going sideline. There's no, you can't, that's the last thing. You just force him down the sideline and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was something.
So that's my game winner. The game winner, Villanova. I don't remember what year that is, but Jenkins for the win.
I remember watching that too. We like North Carolina in our household. So that was,
Amen.
but that was a fantastic game.
That was a great game.
And UNC ended up winning it, I think, the following year or the year after that.
Yeah.
Over Kentucky. So can't complain. All right. David Freese, Game 6 World Series home run.
Okay. All right.
Well,
I don't watch baseball. I did not watch that game.
Then his home run. So, yeah. So, Cardinals are down to their last strike. Really, that Game 6 in a whole could have been the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
Down to the last strike twice. David Freese from St. Louis hits it off the wall, scores 2, ties it with 2 outs, 2 strikes in the 9th. And then in the 10th, they go down by 2 again. And Lance Berkman hits 1 with 2 outs down to his last strike.
Okay.
Ties it again, 11th inning. Talking about David Freese again. Hometown kid, bomb, center field. And I'll never forget Joe Buck. We will see you tomorrow night, taking that from his dad, Jack. And so that like gave you goosebumps there because that's what Jack Buck said for the voice of the Cardinals. And then Joe Buck does it again. And so like that was just like straight chills.
Electric.
And then that led to them winning.
Yeah. I wish I told you last week. I want to love baseball. I live so close. We live so close to St. Louis. It just feels like it's something that I should care about, but I'm just not there yet. Man.
And with them not being very good,
no,
they're so
man.
cheap right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. Well, and also, yeah, we get a little bit of a ministry pass too. Like there's ways for us to get like free tickets, which is super cool. I don't mind going to games, but it's like it's just boring. To me
going to games is like
that's the only way I would watch.
Yeah, and it's better like when you're with a group of people because then like when it is boring, like at least you sit there and talk. But like if I'm at home and like Courtney, like I will not just put a Cardinal game on and just sit there.
Yeah,
because I'm like, oh my gosh,
it could take forever.
And like I've watched soccer matches where it's 90 minutes 0-0, but to me that's way better than watching a baseball game,
it
like
is
1-0.
Baseball, the hard part about like soccer is like it's still moving. It's just like taking. It's just the ball is not always going into the net.
And there's typically plenty of build-ups too. Yes. Where like but baseball, it's like guy gets on third. It's like okay, strike out, ground out, strike out, nice.
Over and over and over again.
Like it's like fantastic. Or ground ball double play. You're just like okay.
All right. So my 4th pick here. We're talking sports moment. So I've always been a LeBron James fan. LeBron James is my GOAT. You can love that, hate that, don't really care. But my moment, is not them winning the championship when he goes back to Cleveland. It's not the Kyrie shot. It's the Cleveland, this is for you. Like the ability, the buildup of him returning back to Cleveland, the reality of what that meant for the state of Ohio, for the city of Cleveland, for him he made a promise, he kept his promise. Then you have the Kyrie shot, you have all these different things. Then you have him emotional, similar to the Jordan crying, except Jordan, he's mourning the loss of his father, but LeBron's mourning the reality of like this is what I wanted to do since I was a child, and now I'm in this moment. Ohio, hated him, and now he's back. And then he says those words, Cleveland, this is for you. Similar to me, then it's like the Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. But I will always remember the Cleveland, this is for you. So my number 4 moment is, I don't remember who the announcer or the sideline broadcaster was, but in that moment,
been like Doris
it might have been Doris Burke. I can't recall, but I just remember him saying the words, and I will always remember them.
I think
Cleveland, this is for
and it's
you.
like every NBA player is like, my goal is to win a championship, but you could tell that one.
Yep.
Like Cleveland was like, that was his old, like, if that didn't, I feel like even if he won like 8 championships but didn't get one for Cleveland eventually, like I think that would have crushed him.
Right, absolutely.
That would have crushed him.
Absolutely. All right, number 4, what do you got?
I got first time it ever happened in history. I remember sitting on the couch watching it, and it was me and my dad, and I just kept thinking, eventually they'll collapse, they'll lose. It was UMBC beating Virginia, the first 16, first one upset.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that was, and like, you must be Cinderella. Phenomenal call.
Yeah.
At the end of that.
Yep.
What is happening to Virginia as like a terrible turnover leading to a transition 3? It's like so many lines in that were so iconic, and also like I couldn't stand Virginia basketball. Like I still can't. It's just so boring. And so like to see them be like the number 1 team in the
Right.
country and then lose. Oh, so good. It was so great. And also to lose by 20.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I do remember that. That was insane. That was so much fun. I enjoyed watching every second. And that was one too where like you never turned it off because you're just like, could this actually be going? And you're just waiting,
waiting for something to go wrong
for
right.
Virginia to like go on like
Right.
a quick 12-0 run and like just never.
This is hilarious to me because your number 4 pick is them losing. My number 5 pick is them winning the very next year.
Oh, yeah.
So like I grew up in Indianapolis, and so grew up around Kyle Guy.
He's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. It was awesome to see, the story. I know he's publicly talked about, the hate that he received post that season, and then trying to navigate the anxieties of all that, and then that team being able to come together, and them being able to win the national championship. You know how hard that is to like
Go from
all those guys were there and experienced that loss, and then the following year they win that. But you know what? I'm actually changing my opinion. Okay. It's not that moment. Kyle Guy, you're awesome. Think the world of you. But you're not my number 5
You're not good
pick.
enough.
My number 5 pick is Ohio State beating Michigan with the Curtis Samuel overtime touchdown in the end zone after the JT Barrett 4th and 1 call that shocked the world, and Curtis Samuel beats Michigan in overtime, and it was poetry in motion. I said what I said.
I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't say when you win.
But I talked about that last week. Like thinking about a moment, like we were in that game. It was a great sports moment, and I talked about it last week, but like we were never going to lose that game. Like theoretically, in my mind, like after we beat Texas, I did not feel like we were losing to freaking Notre Dame.
Well,
like we were not losing to them.
Texas should have lost to Arizona State.
That is also very true.
Is a whole
talk about no calls.
But
yeah, is the Curtis Samuel touchdown. I have a picture at my house of Curtis Samuel when he crosses the goal line. In his hand, he has the football in one hand and he has the other up, and it's just beautiful. Just lovely. Bedlam, absolute bedlam. Your number 5 pick is what?
I know I talked about it last week, but I don't care. This is something again, same thing I'll never forget. 2019 Blues Stanley Cup Game 7 victory over Boston. And
once again, I brought you guys that Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Okay.
I moved here in 2019. I brought the good mojo.
So anyway,
thank me now.
That with or without
Blues,
Trey
endorse
being there,
me.
What have they done since you've been here?
I didn't say I kept the mojo.
So why don't you move
I said I
back?
brought it. Do I need to do a LeBron, leave and come back, bring the mojo back?
Come back, and then I expect you in the streets yelling St. Louis. This was for you.
St. Louis, this is for you.
Yeah, I remember I was sitting at Cyberx in O'Fallon with my dad and sister, and like you couldn't hear yourself think. I
bet it was electric.
And yeah, that was super cool. And like we've watched hockey growing up and like gone to plenty of games and everything. And it's just like it's one of those things where like you win your first ever, but like from the time you're watching, you're like, could this actually like never happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like could you like there are teams that still haven't won anything that have been around for a lot longer, and you're just like, could this actually never happen? Mm-hmm. And it always felt like they had it. They would like get to the playoffs, like second round, and just all of a sudden just collapse. And it's just like, why couldn't they ever get there? And then yeah, they honestly
finally figured it out.
All odds, because I genuinely, when they got there, I thought they might win one or two if they're really lucky. Mm-hmm. But then, and especially after they lost Game 6 at home and got smacked and looked scared and looked embarrassed, I thought there's no shot. You go to TD Garden and you win it away. And then Jordan Bennington turned into
the greatest of all time.
Bennington.
Well, he
he's
ruined
the most frustrating goaltender.
He ruined the Americans' hope in the four nation because he was so good for Canada.
He and you will watch it was like a week before.
Let me just tell you, I will watch hockey before I watch baseball.
Oh, 1,000%. I will listen to hockey on the radio before I watch a baseball game.
You think you're catching me on skates? I'll throw a baseball, but you ain't catching me on skates. But I'll watch hockey.
I love ice skating.
But,
Okay, yeah,
All
that's
right,
fair.
Jeremy, is there any of these that we might be missing? Like off the top of your head, give me one that you feel like we totally just dropped the ball
I
on.
feel like I'm gonna leave here, and then
I'm
like,
sure. But what comes to your mind?
Yeah, I thought of some honorable mentions and was doing some research. I know we said, obviously you can't. It's got to be something you've seen, right?
Mhm.
But there were a lot that like you miss out on because of that not being the case. Like
Right.
the Miracle on Ice,
Right,
the
right,
Dream
yeah,
Team,
because you talked about that. Yeah,
like things like that. But I
oh
would.
my goodness,
What?
we didn't mention USA winning gold.
Yeah,
This year?
recently.
Yes,
But
yeah.
another more recent one, Michael Phelps.
Oh, absolutely.
and all his
Oh, I
gold
did watch.
medals.
I didn't even think about the Olympics.
Yeah, me neither did I.
Yeah, I mean, Usain Bolt, fastest man alive.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
And then retaining it
Yep. The Rose Bowl in 2006, Vince Young. And
versus
Texas and,
USC?
To be fair, I didn't watch that.
Yeah. So I remember
I
that
was 8,
game
but I did not.
because that was
I did
Vince
not.
Young and that was Reggie Bush, right?
Yeah.
And then Matt Leinart.
Yep.
Woo!
College football, man. Peak
Yeah,
college
at its
football.
finest.
And then I'm obviously LSU fan, so watching LSU in 2019,
Okay.
the best college football team of all time.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
really nice.
That's a debate for its own.
I know that is a debate for its
That is a
own.
debate.
I would give Vince Young a run for his money.
That's the hill I will die on.
I know.
Because everyone debates them in that Miami team.
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
they?
the Miami team for sure. LSU, and then that Texas team was really.
I think what makes that like Miami LSU one so great is like Miami's defense was what was insane, and it was LSU's offense,
that
which
was-
was insane. So it's like
and the defense wasn't
it was
nothing, but
yeah, but it was
some
like
that
All those-
offense. I mean,
yeah.
that offense. I think that offense literally has. I think every skill player is a league guy.
Yeah.
Still.
Besides our tight end,
Okay.
What wasn't it Moss?
Thaddeus Moss. It was Randy Moss's son.
But still,
Yeah.
like
he was
You got
really
rid-
good.
Yeah, he was very good.
I think Joe Burrow probably elevated his
Yeah,
stock
probably.
a lot.
oh
but
for sure. But
Well, and the fact that he had two
He had
like
two huge-
all-pro receivers who were leaving the middle wide open.
True.
But
that
okay,
that was a fun team to
yeah,
watch.
absolutely. I might let you have that one, Jeremy. I might
Oh,
let
you know which one I didn't? I even thought about it and I forgot to write it down. Kevin Ware snapping his leg in half.
Did
I know
Anderson Silva snapping his leg in half?
that I didn't see live. I saw
that
but
live.
I was watching Kevin Ware just lifts up and I was just like, boop, and I'm like, oh,
Who was was that Kevin Ware? Who was the NBA
Gordon
player?
Hayward snapped his. I
Okay,
also
Gordon
watched
Hayward.
that one live.
Okay.
There was another. There two more I just thought of. The Jadavian Clowney.
The hit after the
they
play,
gave him the like,
the
Yeah,
fourth and
ball
one.
to line, the ball to
and
Yep.
he jumped the line.
Yeah,
hit
that
the
was
ball,
crazy.
Picked the fumble up one hand.
What's the other one? That you had?
The other one was, I guess you were born in '95, so
Yeah.
technically you
Okay.
could have. But Mike Tyson biting Evander Holyfield's ear.
Yes, yeah. I didn't see.
I've never seen it.
I'm sure my dad was watching it, so I might have been with him. But
Still,
yeah, I don't know when that.
It's
when that-
iconic.
Yeah, it is iconic.
Low key, Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph in the head with his helmet.
Helmet, bro.
I'm
you
just
got a
straight
problem.
injuries. I'm just straight people.
He's like, I watch football games,
But like
to
Kevin
watch
Ware,
pain.
I was young and like watching that, you're just
Yeah.
like,
Ooh, yeah.
It's
Well,
like
that was
his
like right when
bone-
like Twitter and like all those like
His
social media
bone
was
is
like
just-
becoming big too
Again,
because like it was
college
everywhere.
college football stuff, man. The kick six, like Auburn returning the.
Oh
against
yes, I
Alabama.
forgot about that completely. Oh my goodness.
Auburn's gonna win the football game.
Yeah.
Like just
that was great.
elite.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
thinking-
Well,
I was
Cam
thinking of
Newton.
injuries.
Cam Newton at Auburn. Like that was like electric. Johnny
Johnny
Manziel.
Manziel.
Oh, his run against Alabama.
Yeah.
There's so many.
That could have been.
You could do a
You could go
whole-
on forever.
Yeah, you
okay.
could.
All right. Our we got to move on because we could literally be stuck here forever. But our next kind of segment that we're going to talk about for the second half of the NBA season, my goal would be for us to talk about a couple of things. So, one, who do you really like right now that you feel is kind of coming on at a good time? Two, who looks decent right now but you think is going to flop? And three, who's your dark horse in the playoffs if they can make it? Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
first, who do you really like right now? Second, who looks decent but you think is going to fall apart? And then who's your dark horse for the playoffs? Do you
Are we
want to go
talk-
first or second?
Are we talking about like they'll like they won't make the playoffs? Or are we talking like they may make it and then collapse?
I think for the one that I'm going to talk about, I believe they're going to collapse.
I think I have one that I think
Okay,
they'll
go ahead.
make it, but I think the Thunder.
Yeah, that's my pick as well. But you're good.
You think they'll make?
I think they're the number one. I think they're the number one seed. Like they're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I just don't see when you get into playoff basketball.
I actually have a better one, so you can have that one.
For me, it's OKC. Like I love watching like Shea. I think he's a great basketball player. I think they're good. They're young. I think eventually they're gonna be a really good team. But when you get into playoff basketball, I do believe it's gonna come a lot. Like down to the defense is different, everything's different, and you're playing good on good all the time. I think what OKC has is they have a young group of guys who really love to play basketball, and they're a team and they play really well. But when you start having to play those dogs, like those older players, when you start having to play Denver, you start having to play LeBron, you start having to play even the Suns if they can figure out a way to figure it out.
Warriors right now.
Well, yeah, the Warriors
coming back.
And so like I feel like for OKC, they might even be the worst. They might actually be in the worst situation because if they end up in the 1 seed, they might end up having to play. If the Mavs can figure it out, they might end up having to play the Mavs. They might end up having to play the Warriors. They might end up having to play the Suns.
Yeah.
And so you're playing dog teams that have really good guys, but their teams are just not able to figure it out. And so for me, I am worried about OKC. I think it's the hardest thing in the world. I think Denver when they won, were they the number one? I don't think they were the number 1 seed. I think they might have been 3 or 4.
They were 1.
They were 1. I think it's really hard to go into the playoffs and be the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Without Shea is an all-star. He is a bona fide star. I'm not belittling his game at all. Like he is good. I don't know that he's going to be able to pull his team to the level that it's necessary in the playoffs.
I think they're missing that extra.
I agree.
I think you always need 2, and I think most teams will at least give you 2 all-stars.
Well, because they'll just double him.
Yeah.
They'll double him, but also they'll just be super physical with him because he likes to get downhill, and they're just not going to let him shoot threes.
And when he does go downhill, they're going to make you feel it.
It's playoff basketball, and they're not going to. The calls are different too.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's a good team, but I do see them flopping.
I could see him making it to like the second, and then
they're not. To me, they're not beating Denver. They're not beating LA.
No.
And honestly, are they beating Memphis?
They may face like a team that gets hurt at the end of the year or something like that. And
because Memphis is coming on right now.
I could see the first round they'd be okay, but second round
with the play-in, just never know, man. Because you're gonna end up with the 8th. You're gonna end up with the 8th seed.
I gotta see what.
But you're gonna end up playing the 8th seed. But like who you just don't know who that's gonna be.
I need to see what seed my team is.
Who's your team?
So I'm going with the Houston Rockets.
Okay, where are they? What are
They're
they?
the 5th seed. They're 36-22, which is insane. I think they'll flop. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs right now because who's the play-in 10? The Kings are 29-28. Yeah, I think they'll be fine.
Well, the Western Conference is I think there were so many injuries in the Western Conference on the front end of the year that a lot of these teams are just feeling that.
So I think they'll make it. They may get stuck with the play-in game because I think they're going to run into some tough teams, especially later
with Houston,
in the season.
who is their who do they continue who is to them their player, their number 1 option? And I don't think they have that.
I think they play well as a group, but it's the same thing.
Because it's Green some nights.
It's gonna be,
and then is that Thompson? Is that Amen Thompson? Is that
Amen Thompson? And then Fred Van Vliet is there.
Okay,
but it's your 4th option is Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them being nasty in the playoffs. I could see them being. I mean, they're irrelevant to me, and I know that sounds rude, but they're an irrelevant team to me in the playoffs, sheerly because when you go up against the GOATs of the Western Conference.
This is you're a 5.
Right.
Imagine if you stay around there, you're gonna end up potentially playing the Clippers.
Yeah.
You could play the Lakers.
Yeah.
Right now, if it goes, you're playing the Lakers on the first round. That's a 4-0.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Shannon Sharp or his stuff on? He's
no,
cold one.
Oh yeah.
Lakers in 5.
Yeah, Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. That's how I think that if they played right now, that's what.
Yeah, just over and over. Lakers in 5.
Yeah.
Shoot,
cold one.
It'd be Lakers in 4.
Sold one. Lakers in 5.
Okay, so the next category that we would be is who to you is doing fine but you believe, right? What did I say? That is doing fine.
Doing okay, but you think they're going to spark.
Yeah, that they're gonna kind of blow up here. I like this might be my homer pick, and obviously I'm a Lakers fan. Let me pivot. I am a LeBron James fan, so I kind of like walk. What he does. Like I want to support that team. I really do think it's gonna work. Like when I watch the Lakers play, like honestly, Luka Doncic, if he's gonna play like he did last night, which we'll get to, if he's gonna play like he did last night, he might allow LeBron James to play another 3 to 4 years, which is like ridiculous. Because if he can, think about it, LeBron his whole career has been a ball dominant individual who brings the ball up the court, who does all these different things, and now he literally just gets to play free.
Yeah,
because Luka is LeBron in a different style, like and less athletic, but like able to do the things. Like Luka had a triple-double last night, and so for me, I think the Lakers look decent, but also JJ Redick. I mean, he's putting them in sets and systems to where it like is legit working. He's figured out how to like. It's really hard to play three good scorers on the court at the same time, and they've figured it out. Like honestly. Who has a better three than Austin Reeves right now? Like legit. Like I don't know. Like you could maybe say the Celtics. You could maybe say Denver.
I would say I would put.
But
I'm
like
a Nuggets fan, so I would put.
But like
Denver
Michael
after.
Porter, I don't know that I would say that he's playing great right now. And so like Drew Holiday for Boston. But right now Austin Reeves, I mean he's averaging 20.
Yeah.
What other third option on a team is averaging 20? Because Michael, I don't think Porter's averaging 20. I don't think Drew's averaging
15.
20. I think what they add to the game might be different. But for me, I think the Lakers are a problem. And if they get a good draw and they get hot, and they're right now, I think they've won 11 of 12.
I think, yeah.
So that's my pick. Lakers in 5.
Realistically, what should be like the best three would be KD, Beal, and Booker.
It
like,
should be, but for some odd reason,
three.
is Beal still hurt? Is he still, or is he playing and it's just not working?
I think it's just not.
I mean, they had to sell the whole kitchen sink to get him, so
which like you left everything behind, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what KD does after this year because if they make it, and then 2, if they get an early exit, I could see him trying to opt out and trying to.
So this is okay. I'm trying to think. And what's the last category again?
So the last category is dark horse. So the one who like. We're not really talking about, because like for me, I wouldn't choose the Lakers as a dark horse, but a team that's like potentially could make some noise when we get into the playoffs. Okay. So, but right now you're in. Who's your team that you are like is hot right now that you like for the playoffs?
Okay. The Timberwolves.
Really?
The Timberwolves.
You believe? So you believe in Ant-Man?
I do, because I also think Ant is one of those that
he's a dog.
When the playoffs hit, he does hit a different level.
Yeah.
Which I think.
I mean, he's got the arrogance to like be that guy. Like he kind of represent. Like I feel like he's today's league's Jordan, Kobe mentality type of guy. Yeah, where it's like he's the best player in the room no matter what. Yeah. Even if he's not.
Like because I think it was Charles Barkley was like he shoots too many threes, and he'd be like, I make him. He'd be like, you'd be the fourth option with me on the court at all times. And I'm like,
well, he was saying that for during the Olympics, he was like talking, and I think he was talking to Obama, and he's like, I'm the guy. Like, I'm the best player on this team. Like,
they don't use me, but I'm better than everybody.
He was like, if who's taking the final shot, and he was like, me, of course. So. Like really though, you think that they're gonna figure it out?
I think so.
So remind me of that. Who are their bigs? Are they the double big?
No. Well, they got
traded,
rid
right? Because they got rid of Cat,
and so right now Gobert's in there, but they put someone else in there. I gotta look now because I watched your game.
I just feel like when you get into the playoffs, because that was what they ran into last year, and now they don't have Cat. I just feel like it's so hard to win a playoff game in the finals.
Naz Reid. Not big, but the dude stretches the floor.
Yeah, he does.
I think because they're small and they like to run, but I also think they can get pretty grisly with defense. I think that's what will help. So,
in your mind, are you taking them over Memphis?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Desmond Bane is playing out of his mind right now.
I don't care. I also think Ant is one of those guys that is going to say, I will take Bane and we'll do everything we can.
Dog versus dog, playoff mentality, Ja Morant, Ant-Man, you're taking Ant.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that I agree with that.
That's I just think
Because Ja before he got in trouble and Ja before he got hurt, that boy was playing.
Keyword before.
You're right. You're right. I mean, he's playing all right now. So
he's all right, but I just think Ant he just takes
Minnesota. I really like that pick. I think it's a good dark horse. I think it's a terrible pick, but I think it is. I just don't see them doing anything. The Western Conference is so hard.
I also just think, because now you got some of their younger guys are starting to fill in, and they're starting to figure it out, which I think will help, especially towards the end of the season when you're fighting for a higher seed. And then once you get to those playoffs, I think that also, realistically, they lost Cat, but this is also the team that was knocked out Denver last year, did it in 7 when they were down 20 in Game 7, and who took over?
Right.
And
right. No, I mean, I get it.
So I think that's why. And like I said, Denver fan watching that, it's just once he started, I thought you have to hope that he gets hurt, because otherwise you're screwed.
Okay.
Me and injuries.
So
today.
you and injuries. So dark horse of the night. My dark horse for this episode, or for the playoffs and for the NBA, I'm going to go with a team that theoretically should not be a dark horse, but because they're in the Eastern Conference, because there you have teams like the Celtics over there, my dark horse is actually the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think nobody expects them to actually do anything when it comes to the playoffs. Are they the number 1 seed currently? Yes. I think they are. They look really, really good. They do. And when Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, they got the big man at the center. I think, and then obviously you got Mobley. You got all the pieces. They're young with a older kind of vet with Donovan Mitchell, and so I could see them making some noise if they can figure out how to beat Philly, and they can figure out how to beat Boston. I could see them being a problem. I also think they're a really, really bad matchup for teams like the Lakers, who don't have a solid big interior right now, because they would have 2 guys with Mobley and is that Jared Allen?
Jared Allen, yep.
And so I think the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've looked good all year, but I don't believe anybody believes in them when it comes to the playoffs.
I think they're one of those again where it's
similar to OKC.
They'll get there, but
however,
eventually.
The thing that they have going for them is the Eastern Conference is not as stacked as the Western Conference in terms of when playoffs start, they get better. So, who's your dark horse?
So at first I was thinking the Knicks.
The Knicks,
but then I've looked at their bench. No chance.
Yeah,
their bench is bad. Plus, Thibs plays them way too much.
I think
they're
the highest
their starting
minutes.
5. I love their starting.
They're the highest played minutes of all.
So I am actually going to pick. I am actually going to pick Golden State.
Really?
Because they've won 4 out of their 5 with Jimmy, and he's starting to getting his 20-point average. I do think that they could potentially beat
angry Draymond Green.
1 or 2.
Is he going to play?
Here's my problem.
How many texts he's going to get, man?
He hasn't played too much this year, so he's fine. He's not going to get in trouble.
I just don't. You give your pitch.
So obviously
Steph is the greatest shooter ever, so it's possible.
And also he's won 2 playoffs. Different. Jimmy, we've seen what he can do with teams that probably shouldn't really go anywhere. Miami multiple times, finals twice, 0-2. But if you looked at that roster, you would not have been yeah, that's a finals team. So I think too, they could be really grisly, and I think their bench has grown.
Yeah, but it's still mid.
It's still mid, but okay, we're dark horse, so this is someone that's not. I think
my bad.
Yeah, they're not expected, and would I be surprised if they do
go out
lose? They get a 6 seed and they lose to someone fairly early, like Denver early. No, I wouldn't be surprised, but also I could see them sneaking away, winning 1 or 2. I also just think, it would be extremely tough with the Western Conference because it is so
difficult,
dominant. Your 10 seed in the Western is 29-20. It's over 500. Your 10 seed right now is the Bulls, who are 12 under in the Eastern.
Yeah, I mean it's
that is insane.
It's a massive difference.
So it's just, and again, the Eastern I feel is so top heavy that I don't think anybody below 4 really could do anything.
Got you.
Or could really make a run. Pacers, no. Bucks, I don't think so anymore.
I like to say the Pacers are always going to pace.
They'll get in there, but then probably won't do. Pistons,
No.
Magic, no. Hawks.
Jeremy, who's your dark horse NBA season? What do you think?
I would have said it was the Rockets,
Okay.
but that was just because I like the way they play.
Yeah.
Jalen Green's averaging 22.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tari Eason. He's
Okay.
a power forward.
Solid.
He went to LSU.
Right.
3 years in the league, and he's averaging 12, 6, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, with a team with that much youth, they can play hard
as fast as they want.
Yeah, it's they control the pace of games.
It's always their bench. Too.
It's the bench.
Their bench is not, I think your bench is like one of the most important things like in playoffs. Like if your bench can go out there and hold its own, like those are typically the ones that are going to win.
Okay.
But the scary teams are the teams with like the veterans, like the Warriors, and I mean the Lakers, of course. But like. Man, don't let Steph get hot, dude.
Oh, no.
And I feel like he's been hot the last couple of games. Like, it's scary.
Just, again, you get to the playoffs, and him and Jimmy
don't know what you're
turn into a different.
Okay. For a moment, I have to talk about the game last night because I watched it from start to finish. When I say the game, I mean the Lakers versus the Mavs. One, Luka did not look like he weighed 270. Two, Luka was doing push-ups in pregame in front of the the managers, the GM of the Mavs. I don't remember his name.
Also, wild he went.
Yeah,
like wild he showed up.
I mean it's crazy. At LA is crazy, but like I think for him, it's just a bonker situation. But from the start of the game, it looked like the Lakers were going to win by 20 plus. Mavs and Kyrie.
Because I thought I saw at one point they were up by like 15.
They were up. It was first half, I think, and then the Mavs made a pretty good push in the second quarter. Kyrie played out of his mind. I mean, he played really well. I mean, he was kind of doing whatever he wanted, and like they were the Lakers kind of said to them. It seemed like their game plan was, Kyrie can't beat us alone. Yeah. So we're going to let Kyrie do whatever, but we're not going to. Honestly, it looked like they did not play help defense on Kyrie. They were like, if he gets by you, he gets by you. That's 2 points. We believe that eventually he's going to miss enough times to where we can beat him. But what was so crazy is watching. I've never seen LeBron be able to play this way. Like, even when he had Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was a similar ball dominant and can do all the things. His handle is ridiculous. He can shoot out the gym. He can do everything. Probably the best ball handler we've ever seen, maybe outside of AI. But watching the game, it was like, wait, LeBron actually is the number 2 option here. Even when I watched AD, and maybe it was just last night, and Luka was pissed off and was trying to play as hard. I mean, because he was playing really, really hard.
You knew what he wanted to accomplish.
Yes, but it was just so clear that Luka had the ability to just manage everything that was going on, and LeBron just looked like he could play free. LeBron had 2 putback dunks last night. I don't remember the last time watching a Laker game where he dunks all the time, but a putback dunk where he's not fading away, not doing it. It was insane to watch. I don't want to, hype up JJ Redick all that much as his first year as a head coach, but the way that he was able to allow Austin Reeves and the way that he has Rui playing right now, the way that Luka looks, and you hear their locker room talk right now, and it's they want Luka to be dominant. They need him to be dominant. He was passive when they first came in, and now he's being dominant. Maybe he's not scoring as much, but he's playing it's the full picture. And I think I really think it's going to work.
I think the ultimate goal is also to them, they could see it as eventually the passing of the torch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think LeBron, like you said earlier, this just adds time.
Yes.
Because his body can rest.
Yes.
And again, playoff start, different animal.
Well, and also,
absolutely different animal.
And also, if you want to play them together, awesome. But also, you now have 2 guys who you can run the offense through. Really, you have 3 guys who you can run the offense through, because if a pick and roll offense with Austin Reeves and Jackson Hayes, it's really hard to stop.
Jackson Hayes is so athletic.
Ridiculous. And so Luka matched up with Jackson Hayes, and then Austin Reeves with Jackson Hayes, and then LeBron with Jackson Hayes. It's I really do believe that it can work. Whether or not, I don't know that I'd be they're going to win the whole thing. But the way they've looked over the last 12 games, to me, it's they could get hot.
Wait for the playoffs.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
cannot wait
It's
to
gonna be
watch
good.
their first game.
Yep.
Because it's gonna be their first game in Staples Center.
Yeah.
Like I think they'll beat a team by 35, and just like that place
Go
is
crazy.
going to go
Just erupt.
absurd. Like
Okay.
that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, we got to do our hot take of the week. Then we can kind of close out and let
Okay.
you know what we're going to talk about next week, because we totally have to start to begin to talk about March Madness as it's approaching, and some teams that we think are going to come up. But we'll start that next week. But for this week's purpose, what is Theo Dudek's hot take of the week? Sports hot take of the week.
Very, very hot take. I think overall, but this is for baseball. I think the Cardinals win the NL Central.
Wow.
Very, very
Do
hot
they have
take.
pitching? See, this is coming from a non-baseball watcher, but that's always been their crutch.
They're
They don't
projected
have-
fourth.
Okay.
So, like third,
Okay.
fourth. They're in between. No, they don't have pitching.
So when
But-
it comes down to it, they can win that one, but they won't win anything else.
Here's my thing. I think in my
As he
whole-
wears his Cardinals shirt.
Yes. So it's a lot, and I know they're going to go out and win 70 games this year. I'm going to look like an idiot, which fine. But I genuinely do think, like, this is Mosaic's last year. Thank goodness. Like, I just want that dude out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Marmol follows him behind. But I do think their pitching's rough, but Quinn Matthews pitched yesterday, looked good, young guy. Teen Kent has got to make his way up. Good, young guy that throws hard. I do think that they can kind of stretch, and honestly, I would trade Arenado to find that extra starter, because I do think you have enough fielders and you have enough young guys to where if those young guys start to mesh, like things can happen, and they're fast. And I think you need to turn this team into a defensive run. So you steal bases, you do all that, because I do like Victor Scott, Ciani every now and then, but I don't think he starts. Newbar, Walker's got to play. Donovan, Contreras, Pagas or Herrera, and then you got to stick. I don't even mind Gorman probably at third. Mason Wynn, who's a stud, and then
Look at him
whoever
just
behind
talk
him.
about this roster right now. I love this.
So yeah, I think it's a team that could do something. I also, again, they're young, so this could be a team that wins 70 games. But I also think this is a team that could win, 90. And the division is not that good. Like, it's probably, I would argue, one of the worst, because there's really no dominant team. The Brewers typically are, and the Cubs made some moves, but it's Reds and Pirates, no. And, you never know, Chicago and St. Louis. I think this is a team that could win the division, but also they could get last.
Okay.
Like, it's such a shot
It's
in the
either
dark.
one or the
But
other.
my take is, like, I do think they win the division.
Okay.
I do think, like, last year was so bad, but I do think that this team turns it around.
Okay.
I think it'll surprise a lot of people, but I do think you got to get to – you're not going to hit 5 home runs a game. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not the team you built, which is perfectly fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with hitting.
Playing the long game.
With, just singles, and again,
Getting on base.
Siani's fast, Scott's fast. You got to let those boys run. And that, I think, is going to help
Okay.
in the long run. Burleson, I forgot to mention him. That's probably your home run hitter right there.
Okay. All right. I don't know anything about baseball, so that hot take is, fine. My hot take is a real hot take, I believe. So I'm going to say that Ohio State is going to have the most players drafted of all time upcoming, and I believe that Will Howard is actually going to be a first-round pick. That's my hot take. And I know that I'm a homer. I know that I'm an Ohio State fan. I know that I rep all day, every day, Ohio State Buckeyes.
See, I wear my team.
I do. You're right. I wore it last week. I believe that Will Howard is going to be a first-round pick, and I also believe that I would take him before I would take Shedeur Sanders. So,
Jerry, what are your thoughts?
That's my hot take.
I'm a known Shedeur Sanders hater, Cam Ward hater. I think, man, it's gonna sound Jackson Dart should be a top quarterback drafted. I don't know about Will Howard. I've watched a lot of Ohio State games because of Trey and how much he talks about Will Howard. So I think I have some knowledge on his game. He is like a field general quarterback, and he will get the job done. And if a team like the Broncos, the way they drafted Bo Nix with Sean Payton, who is really good with quarterbacks.
Exactly.
If
that
somebody
is exactly
does,
what I feel like.
If somebody does that with Will Howard, there's a good chance he He is a good NFL
So,
quarterback.
I
First
guess
round.
My question is who takes him?
The
do you know-
Titans.
No. Raiders.
You think the Raiders take him?
You know
No,
who that?
they have
you
an
know-
early pick there.
They have an early pick, but do you know who their
Oh, yeah.
OC is?
Is it
Chip Kelly.
But
it
also,
might not be the Raiders, but it'll be, to me, it's got to be a similar. What Jeremy said is so true. For Will to be successful, he has to go to a location to where they have to know how to coach the quarterback, and also run the offense around the quarterback that you actually have, not what you might want in the future. And that's the beauty of what happened with Jaden Daniels. He's uber talented, but they ran the offense with what the quarterback that they had. Bo Nix, they ran the offense with the quarterback they had and used their strengths. And so for me, I think Will Howard's a first-round pick. I think he's capable. What he did in the playoffs, he was the best quarterback in the playoffs. Like I don't think you can argue that. And so, in my opinion, I believe that, like, if you you got questions, turn on the tape, man. Like, his worst game was the Michigan game, and I'm pretty sure that dude was concussed. Like, I'm pretty positive that dude, he got whacked by Mason Graham, and I'm pretty sure that dude had a concussion. But that's my hot take for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like I just don't know like who would take him in the first. Like, that's my only thing.
He is in terms of, I know the receiving core at Ohio State was insane. Over CJ Stroud, who was a savant when it came to like accuracy throwing in college football, he has a higher completion percentage than him. Like, he is the highest completion percentage quarterback to ever go to Ohio State. Ever. Like,
I just don't see a team taking the second round, absolutely, but I don't see a team taking the risk in the first.
what about it is a risk? I don't understand why people are not. I don't understand why people are not talking about him.
How old is he?
Same age as Jaden Daniels. Like, he's like, as when he was like, these quarterbacks are going to be older nowadays because of the transfer portal. I think.
But does Howard run?
Yes. Yeah. Like, literally.
But my thing is, like, I don't think he's as good of runner. And
I fully disagree, because I think at Ohio State, because of the way that their offense runs, they don't run the quarterback as much because they're afraid. Like, they didn't run CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud can run. They didn't run CJ Stroud because they don't want to they don't want to get him hurt, and then also it's a long season. Will Howard, there were 3 times in the playoffs where we won the game because Will Howard ran the ball. At K-State, I think he had 15 rushing touchdowns. The year prior. So, like, he's capable of it. I think, this is me understanding, like, Ohio State football. I think they said he got up to 22 miles an hour when he was in a dead sprint. He's not slow. He's looked slow at times, but I think he is an athlete at the right weight with the right system, right coaches. Personally, my hot take, first round draft pick.
First round of the Raiders. I also do think
I'm not saying first round of the Raiders. I'm saying first round.
But you think the Raiders?
But I think the Raiders
like
it would not shock me if the Raiders went and got him.
Because Pete Carroll also does wonders.
Well, and Pete Carroll does not need a superstar. Pete Carroll needs a guy who can run an offense and can lead a locker room. And I believe Will Howard could lead a locker room. Russell Wilson was never as good as he got.
Russell
he was
Wilson
never
was a
like
dork.
He was never like this.
Was he doing lunges? Was he doing lunges in the plane in the aisle? Is that what he was doing?
He was doing plyometrics on the team
That
plane.
was it.
But, like, Russell Wilson
Like,
was never
shut
the
up,
best
dude.
quarterback in the NFL. He was the guy who just did his job unbelievably well. He ran when he had to run. He threw the ball in the tight pockets when he had to.
He also had,
Marshawn
top tier defense
Yes.
every
Oh,
year he played
yeah.
football.
So it's, to
even
me,
at the
You got the
Steelers.
Legion of
To
Boom
me,
on the
it's
other
just
side.
the recognition. When it comes to, like, the NFL right now, it's the recognition. You have your top quarterbacks. You have your Mahomeses, Josh Allens. You have your Joe Burrows. You have those Lamars. You have those guys. Jaden Daniels is entering in that conversation. You're welcome for that, Jeremy. But, like, I think that the recognition just needs to be, you need a guy who can lead your offense, a guy who can lead your locker room, and he needs a guy that you can trust. I think Will Howard is all 3 of those things as a quarterback prospect, and it's not as if he can't throw the deep ball. It's not as if you give the dude weapons. I think he can put the ball where it needs to go. Like, I don't see the hatred on him. That's
No,
just my
I'm not
personal-
hating. I just don't see a team
Like-
taking him in the first round. Like that's
But like,
it.
why? What I don't understand when it comes to Will Howard is the hate on him. Like, it's not
Because if he plays a Michigan defense, is
Michigan's
over.
defense was the number one defense outside of Ohio State. That defensive line was insane. Michigan's defensive line will have that they'll for sure have 2 first-round draft picks. That'll probably go. Mason Graham will go in the first 15 picks, and their other one, I think his last name is Stewart. I think he'll go in the first 25. That defensive line was insane. That defensive line is ridiculous. Will Johnson didn't play in the Michigan game, but he'll probably be a top 5 pick. So like that defense was ridiculous. I think Michigan had our number, which is why we lost. I think he was banged up. But the Will Howard slander does not make sense to me. And I hope that in the combine he proves it, because Shedur's not going to throw because he's going to be a diva about it. Cam Ward I hope throws because I think Cam Ward is better than him.
Cam Ward said no to throwing, didn't he?
Probably because those guys are chumps and they just want to get the money. Like honestly, like I really don't see either of those guys being super successful. It's going to be, in my mind, I agree. I think it could be a Will Howard. Honestly, I think he could even, I don't love his game, but I think Jalen Milroe could be better than Shedeur and better than Cam Ward. And that's another hot take. But I think, to me, full transparency, Jalen Milroe is very similar to Jalen Hurts' game. To me, like, they're very similar in terms of the way they approach.
To like a Fields.
Well, no, because Jalen Hurts when he went into the draft, it was he could throw the deep ball and he was a running quarterback. That was the Jalen Hurts thing. Justin Fields, it was he can run the ball, but like he's very, very accurate with the football. And then as it happens to a lot of like black quarterbacks, you get lumped into a category of like, well, he's a running quarterback. Yeah. And so, but that is my hot take. Will Howard, first round draft pick. And I think he's one of the top, like if not the top. Jackson Dart's up there. Cam Ward is good. Quinn Ewers is up there. I do believe I don't get the Quinn Ewers hate either, but Will Howard to me is the guy. So
I'd give me a one-legged Will Howard over Quinn Ewers any day of the week.
We're gonna see, man. Okay,
give me Arch Manning.
We gotta shut this draft. We gotta shut this down. I went too long on my tangent, but hey, we are so grateful that you decided to join us for another episode of Rivalry on the Mic. We are so looking forward to next week as we dive into the college basketball season, as March Madness is right around the corner. There are some teams that look hot right now. There are teams that I think it's crazy that the preseason top 10, I think all of those teams are outside of the top 25. And so it really is anybody's race for the college basketball national championship. And so we're excited to talk about it next week. We'll see you later.
Also, shout out Jeremy, producer, joining us.
Yeah, producer Jeremy.
My hot take, Auburn gets upset in the first round, one seed down.
Okay. I love that.
Auburn hater.
We'll catch you next week.